Hey folks, your OS Reviews. You're watching our video first look and a quick review of this 3D pen. This is a generic model that's called the DWG2 and sells on Amazon and eBay for about 60 bucks, which really isn't too expensive. I got this one from Dream Tech, so you can check out their storefront as well as links down in the description box below. But as far as, again, 3D prints are concerned, some sell for about $200, so this one is fairly cheap, although the quality as well as performance aren't as great as those top-notch models. With that being said, I still think that 3D pens in general, although cool, aren't the same caliber of devices as the regular 3D printers, which generates a lot of hype for good reason. They can be productive, they can create, perfectly working organs, perhaps for hospitals or for appliances, for day-to-day usage, but 3D pens are really just meant for craft, I think, and for art. They're not as precise, and it really reminds me of a hot glue gun, but perhaps with a stronger plastic that stays in place better. Regardless, this particular model comes in a box that is also pretty colorful, tells you what you're getting, draw your dream, and indeed allows you to draw in vertical space, although it takes a bit longer because you have to wait for the actual plastic to dry and go not as fast. There's some basic labels in the box as well that tells you the corresponding keys, what they do in terms of adjusting the speed, having a fan or at least a grill to vent out some of the heat, and there's also a nozzle, which is where, of course, the plastic comes out of. And there's also the back that shows you a few designs of things that might spark your creativity. In terms of packaging, you also have access to a few different filaments of plastic. The pinkest one, you get a coil. I've already used some of this particular one. There's also a blue one included, so you get two of those, and you can always buy more. They're pretty standard and sell for about like a pack. I've seen them sell for about 15 to 20 bucks, so they're not too bad, I would say, although plastic runs out surprisingly fast when you're drawing and doodling, and I used up almost 2 coils just doing an Eiffel Tower, or at least attempting to make one. I messed up a few times, so wasted a bit of plastic that way. So taking a look at the design of the pen first, it's made out of plastic. It feels a little bit lightweight, not too expensive. It feels a little bit cheap, in fact, because the buttons kind of rattle when you shake them, but overall not bad. It's pretty comfortable as far as holding it in the proper position is concerned. The bottom does get pretty hot, so make sure you don't touch it with your hands when it's in operation. And the side allows you to change the speed of the plastic coming out. So this is the slowest, this is the fastest. I recommend kind of going in the middle because this one comes out way too quickly and this one comes out super slowly, so you have to wait for quite a bit of time before that plastic comes out. Then also kind of gets covered in a bit of plastic, so make sure you kind of clean it off every once in a while just to prevent it from getting clotted and then kind of destroying the precision of the ink or the plastic coming out. The display is very small, it's monochrome, but it does the job. It tells you the temperature. So it has to first preheat to about, I would say, 150 to 170 degrees before you can start using it. And that takes roughly, I would say, a minute. So it doesn't take too long. It boots up, and once it reaches the proper temperature, the plastic melts and you can start drawing and using it. You can also select a more custom temperature by going up or down. And this display just shows you that temperature. This allows you to use the engine or the motor to go down, so this is using downwards. This is reversing, going upwards. So if you have a bit of plastic here, what they really recommend is you fully reverse it and pull it out before you turn the unit off. But I found in a bit of testing that it didn't really matter. Of course, I'm going to waste a little bit once it gets heated up, but all in all, this seems to be also a pretty efficient way. So I didn't really take that off, but that is something that they recommend doing. Obviously, the pop is where you insert it, so you can press down the motor and then kind of push this using a bit of force into the grill just to have the plastic go in, and it goes in a little bit at a time. That's why the plastic has a bit of grooves on it, just to allow that process to go a little bit faster. And you do need to apply a bit of pressure. At first I was shocked because it wouldn't go in, it wouldn't move, so I had to press it a bit more. The top features a proprietary charging port, comes with that cable, which is a little bit on the short side of the spectrum, so it's really just meant for a tabletop use. You can't have it set up, across a sofa or across a living room, so the cable length could be a bit longer, I would say, in future iterations. The back features a bit of info about the unit, and that's basically it. So as far as before we go into a brief demo of how this works when I power it on, I'm going to show you some of the designs that I've made. It's a little hard to get into the shot of the camera, so I'm just going to show you. I took a few images already and I applied a few filters. So this is the Eiffel Tower I was talking about. I made the base off of a blue, and then I used a pink to create the bottom parts, and I would say that this took a fair amount of time. It took me roughly 15 to 20 minutes to completely make. I kind of cheated and I printed out a template and then slowly in 2D created, each of the individual shapes and then taped them or glued them together using plastic and assembled it in 3D. So this is the result. I would say not bad. Again, for a $60 3D printing pen, it is a fair job. You can see it's a little bit rough because I was in a bit of a rush, but overall you can kind of get a feel for what the result is like. I applied some filters so that creates more of a kind of funky effect, but hopefully this gives you a quick look at some of the capabilities of what you can do with this. This is kind of the first 3D printing pen I've actually used, so obviously I'm not an expert and I'm still just getting used to it. So as you grow more accustomed, I guess, to the speed and the precision and how it works, I bet that you could get even better and get even more precision. So all in all, not bad. I then attempted to make a tree with the included gray and blue plastics, and you can see that this is just a branch. I didn't actually ultimately make the full leaves and the outline because I kind of ran out of both time as well as plastic, so this is just the result. Kind of the base is left here. So overall not bad, and again that shows you what you can do with the capabilities of this plastic. Not the thickest plastic in the world. Now we're going to try and plug this into a wall, and I'll show you the boot up process as well as how you can make some spirals and very basic design right now. First thing I'll say though is it's probably recommended to have a piece of paper on a surface before you start using the 3D printing, and the paper neutralizes the temperature, so it's going to be about the same as the room temperature. So when the plastic hits, it doesn't create or bend in any unexpected ways. When I was first using this, I just did it on a regular table, which was colder than the air, and as a result, when I put it down here, the plastic seemed to kind of wiggle away because, hot and then cold, so it moved in ways I didn't really want it to and I didn't expect it to. So that is a tip, just to use a material that is relatively room temperature when you are drawing or doodling. Okay, now let's go to... Alright, so I've plugged things in. Right now it says it's using that ABS plastic. I'm gonna go through and say yes. You can also go through PLA plastic, so depending on what you use, you can kind of select it. I'm going to kind of select it by pressing the down key over there, and afterwards you can see that it's going to time out, reach about a minute or two before it reaches that heat, and after it reaches it, it's going to have a slight beep to notify you. It does get quite hot again, so make sure you don't touch the tip during the heating process or during the usage process, and the same thing can be said about the other end of the spectrum, so where the power is plugged in, so be careful when you're using it. It's just like a hot glue gun. You can hear a bit of heat, as well as you can kind of see almost the tip coming out. You can see that plastic is starting to melt, starting to ooze out a little bit as it gets ready. I would kind of recommend using a piece of plastic again to kind of mark it off, just to prevent it from getting stuck on the nozzle and then creating kind of a mess there. But we're going to try and zoom in and do maybe a very quick little demo of this. So now we're green, which means that it's reached the temperature, which is now set to 218 degrees. I'm going to start the slowest actually and press on the down key there. You can hear the motor going, and you can see the plastic going in as well. And slowly but surely it's going to reach the bottom, it's going to get melted, and it's going to come out from this tip. And then I can create something like a spiral, and it will stay there. It takes a few seconds to reach the bottom, as well as to completely, I would say, dry and cool off before it reaches regular temperature, and you can hold it, and it retains the shape pretty well as well. So there we go, it's finally kind of coming out over here. I'm gonna use this time to create a spiral, as I talked about. I'm gonna slow this process down, kind of let it dry in vertical space. You can see that indeed it's holding the shape. There is a bit of a stretch, you can kind of see that fabric or that thread. Same thing with hot glue guns, it kind of has that. And also, you can't really control it, but sometimes there's a bit of that plastic that will kind of ooze out when you are pausing in between your work, so that's something to note. But all in all, you can see that you can definitely draw here in vertical space, and it does work quite well. So it sticks to its own material, and it does the job. So this is, again, a way where you can create your own artwork and decorations. You can make some photo frames, you can create maybe some specific part for an appliance that's broken off, but not anything I would say that requires too much precision, just because of the nature of this unit of 3D printing pens in general, I would say, isn't uber precise. But again, this is the result. So this is the plastic that you see. Comes out pretty thin, so if you kind of bend it, it does break, but it does hold its shape, so you can put it on a surface or a desk and it will kind of stay there. So you will waste a little bit of this as well, even if you've fully reversed kind of the plastic out. So anyways, this has been a quick video first look and review of this rather generic 3D printing pen, the DWG2. It's under 60 bucks, it's pretty inexpensive, and it does work. So if you're looking for something maybe to just try out 3D printing for the first time, this is kind of nifty. It's going to be great fun, I guess, for kids under supervision, of course, perhaps for people who love art and crafts, and just kind of factor in the cost of the replacement plastics over time, and you should be good to go. It works well, and you can definitely control it as you get a little bit of practice, and pretty cool, I guess, piece of tech to play around with, although I think it still has a bit of time to go before it reaches 100% and ease of use for, every single person that picks it up. But anyways, thanks for watching this video here at OS Reviews.